When the whistle blew on another fixture in a tournament that rarely sleeps, a 21-year-old forward found himself at the centre of a story that only days earlier would have seemed like a fever dream. Gonzalo Garcia, a name that until recently echoed mostly around Castilla training drills and reserve team chatter, was suddenly standing where legends make their smallest and largest promises, in the heat of the Club World Cup, wearing white, hunting goals. The moment had an odd hush to it. Not the thunder of expectation that greets an established star, but a taut, electric quiet that comes when everyone realises history might be happening in real time. He admits it still feels surreal. Who wouldn't? One season you drill finishing under floodlights in a training ground, the next you're lifting silverware and counting golden goals. The route to that instant felt almost clinical. Kylian's sudden illness opened a door, opportunity, as the old cliché goes, knocked. Gonzalo didn't pretend there wasn't luck in the timing, but he refused to hand his success to chance. He had prepared for the possibility, the extra sprints, the rehearsed runs into the box, the mental drill that turns nerves into nerve. On the morning he learned he might start against Al Hilal, the message from his coach was simple and surgical. Press relentlessly, harry the centre-backs, make the opponents build up a circus, and inside the box be ruthless with chances. It was straightforward advice, but in that advice lived the DNA of Xabi Alonso's vision. Forwards who press first, unsettle early, and convert moments into momentum. That pressing philosophy suits Gonzalo like a tailored glove. He speaks about being the first line of defence when a goalkeeper punts long. The forward's pressure becomes a team weapon. Win the ball high, and suddenly you're 3 steps from danger, 3 steps from goal. He laughs when he admits the math of it. Win it closer to their net, and the scoreboard looks nicer. Yet beyond the tactics, there's nuance. Gonzalo acknowledges he's learning under a manager who demands polish on tiny details, a coach who sees the world in patterns and margins. When asked how Xabi compares to figures like Alvaro Arbeloa or Carlo Ancelotti, he's measured, honest. He didn't spend enough time under Ancelotti to form a long judgment, but Alonso's fingerprints are clear. And there are overlaps with Arbeloa's intensity in pressing and positional teaching. Outside the tactical talk, comparisons swirl that he politely deflates. People point to Joselu's Madrid numbers or dare him to measure himself against club greats. He appreciates the nod, but he's careful. The gulf between a rookie season and sustained legend status is wide. For now, he prefers work over headlines. Family and friends will give him the whispers of "remember when," but on the pitch, his focus is granular. Recover quicker, press smarter, finish cleaner. The golden boot from that tournament arrived almost as a byproduct of process. During the event, the days run into each other. Games, recovery, tips from coaches. The brain doesn't always have time to celebrate. It's only later, tucked back in Spain, among familiar faces, that the enormity of it filters through. He confesses he still replays scenes, how he moved, which guidance from the bench he followed, the small shove of confidence that made him risk a run or a shot. That trophy shifted a private tick of validation into a public statement. This is a player you cannot ignore. Gratitude threads through everything he says. The locker room with the globe's biggest names is not an intimidation camp so much as a classroom with monumental teachers. He speaks wide-eyed about training beside players he once watched on television. Yet pride steadies him when the conversation drifts to his contract renewal. After years inside the club machinery, that signature meant something deeper than wages. Affirmation that a boy from Castilla can carve a place on Madrid's ledger. Shirt numbers, he shrugs, were a negotiation his agent handled. The number will not define him, the minutes will. There is a quiet, unglamorous corner of his tale where international ambition sits like a patient ember. Contact with Spain's boss was brief. A single training hello, a small exchange that left him wanting more. Still, the dream of representing his country at a World Cup is not romantic fluff. It's a horizon he stares at with professional hunger. 4 of his peers made the step up with him that week, and that shared ascent matters. It's not just about one man's rise. It's about a system, a coach's philosophy, and a club's willingness to trust youth when the stakes are enormous. And so the Bernabéu minutes, the glossy image of him walking out for a few precious moments against Mallorca, are not the end point, but a rung on a ladder. He remembers moving for family reasons, making friends in a new neighbourhood, and the small cycles of belonging that made those minutes sweeter. If someone had told him a year ago that he'd finish a season lifting a golden trophy and getting first-team minutes, he would have laughed. Now, with a contract signed and the weight of expectation balanced by gratitude, the question fans whisper is unavoidable. Has Madrid found its next homegrown star? The answer is still being written in training sessions, pressuring runs, and the quiet repetition of finishing drills. But the first chapters are impossible to ignore.